whole meeting of May the 31st, 2016. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. Anybody have anything to add to agenda or?
So move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Conflict of interest declaration. Is there anybody around the table that has a conflict of interest with any of the items? Hearing none, we'll skip 3. There's no presentation tonight. Go to business arising from the minutes. I think there's 2 items, or do you want to do that, CAO News?
Yes, the Hipson Bridge BRK Engineering has been engaged, and they performed the assessment of the bridge, and they're going to be providing a report in the next couple of weeks. From what I know, he indicated that it's still in very, very good condition, and he'll be recommending improvements so that the infiltration doesn't degrade the bridge in any significant way, or at least slow that down, because I mean it is based on the construction, there will be some infiltration, but anyway, so I think he's looking at
the whole thing,
I
right?
think they're just looking at repointing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he'll have that recommendation in a couple of weeks, and so there'll be some money spent to improve the bridge.
Certainly worthwhile.
Good, yes.
The second business arising has to do with policy updates. There are quite a few policy amendments that are outstanding, one of which most recently you spoke and gave us direction on was in relation to the grants to organization changes, specifically the district community grants, which became community grants. So all of those will come to the subcommittee of the policy group, and then will be brought to your attention for final approval. So policy amendments, they're approximately 75% complete.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on that? If not, we'll go on to Council Priority Progress Report. I like the way that's done.
Should there be some women there too, looking at men, or can you seem to be on both sides of the coin?
It's a great suggestion.
Behind every good man is a woman.
Those little caricatures do not all have to be male. I think what you'll find is that will change. Thank you for pointing that out.
Put some skirts on them.
Well, I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, this is work, and so why would we put men working? That doesn't make any sense. It should be women. That's what my father would say anyway. It's a long story. I can't go into it, but that's a very good suggestion. In all seriousness, we will change that. It's good. I think it's a good suggestion.
Okay. Any questions on that? No? Okay. We'll go on to other business. First item is Inter-municipal tax sharing agreement amendment. This came about because of a piece of property that we're selling that is owned by the 3 councils, right?
Yes, and was also raised in the conversations around the potential or eventual demolition of Domtex,
Yes.
and how that might result in the sale of property in the future. And depending on what that looks like, that may or may not be a significant amount of tax revenue. So the background is attached. Sorry, Mr. Warren.
Go ahead.
Background is attached. It is pretty straightforward in terms of what we're asking council to do is to give us permission to amend the contract. Ultimately, there's a motion in play for that, but then it would have to come back to you for approval. As what you're essentially doing is you're giving us permission to amend an agreement, but we can't do that. We can't finalize it without you. So there's actually going to be 2 decisions made, one today and another after the amendment. And the motion that we would look for is that the municipalities amend our tax sharing agreement to provide for the sharing of future tax revenues from properties jointly held by the parties at the time the initial agreement was signed and sold to a third party. This is quite simply and in summary a recognition that all 3 municipal units have contributed financially to that asset. And so if the asset gets sold, the agreement was silent on that, around the taxation of that property. So what we want to do is amend the policy to say, even when that land gets sold, because we're partners and that we contributed financially, we should also share in the taxation revenues of that property. Now, and so there appeared to be, general consensus around that. What that actually looks like, we'll see, whether there's a sunset clause on how long that lasts, whether it's forever. All those things would have to be negotiated. So certainly, from our perspective, it's beneficial because most of the property that's owned regionally is not owned in our municipality. So if we're only looking at our own back pocket, it certainly benefits us. But more importantly, I think, is it recognizes the contribution of 3 organizations to a goal.
If it's, if we're 29% in or 25% in, that's what we get back then, depending about,
Yes.
I think with 33%, on most stuff, there are a few things, with the Mariner Center's 29, but that's a different can of worms, like you say, that's different.
Yeah.
But any taxation would be on what percentage we do contribute.
Yeah, so we'll give you a couple of practical examples. The Mariner Center, we actually don't own, and so that, what our contribution is 33% of the operating expenditures of the Mariner Center. That probably doesn't apply in this case. So if they were to sell property at the Mariner Center, we would not really have, in my mind, any involvement there. Conversely, if you look at the airport, which we are at 29% currently, if there's something that was sold there, that would clearly be the arrangement where we would get 29% of the tax revenue.
Makes sense.
How has this been, has been discussed with the other 2 units, and how do they feel about that? Are you getting any?
The town passed the motion.
Oh, they passed a motion on that?
Yes, so it was raised by myself, it was raised initially to CEO Gushu from the town, that, this is coming up and we have to think about how we want to address this, and then I was referring to the airport, and he subsequently said, well, what about Dominion Textiles? Which is really, that's actually a very, it's a good comment, because we may or may not have considered that in our interpretation, and if we amend the agreement to include that property, the town is the town that owns that, it would be in the town. So so clearly the CEO for the town was very interested in making it an equitable situation. I have not heard whether the municipality of Yarmouth has addressed this in terms of a decision yet, but I mean, it wasn't. We don't know that it's unfavorable. We have no
But
idea.
most of the properties that we own are in the town, right? Most, or
Yeah,
the airport is in the municipality?
Both.
correct.
Both.
Approximately 90% or more is
Yeah.
the municipality.
So it would affect them as well. I thought maybe that they would be basically in the same situation as we are as far as gaining, because,
No.
you know what I mean? Because I figured that the town was the biggest owner, or not the owner, but the biggest, where most of our properties that we own, or our assets that we own, would be in the town, but it's not. There's quite a few in the municipality as well.
Correct.
The big ones in the municipality.
I think probably the most are in the municipality,
Okay.
in fact, if you
Okay.
think of the amount of acreage and the value, potential value.
Right,
However, in reality, unless you're selling the airport,
yes.
you're not gonna sell all of the acreage at that property.
No.
But you might sell like a section.
Exactly.
So that of course can happen. So we're trying to contemplate that.
Okay.
Councillor
Yeah,
Donaldson,
after
did
the
you-
discussion on this agenda item is over, I'd like to jump back to the other one. I was trying to get attention, but we jumped right ahead to this one, so I'd like to go back to the priorities
Oh, okay.
whenever the discussion is done on this one. I just had something I want to bring up.
Yeah. I was busy, I had problems with my computer here. Sorry about that, Don.
So you had a proposed motion,
We did.
also move that.
Second.
You have that, Chris?
I do.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Yes,
Okay.
Councillor.
I'll go back to the priority list we have there. I've attended Royal Caucus, and I attended the spring workshop in Wolfville for a day or so. And we had it on our priority list, but it didn't score high enough to be in the top 5, and I think I'd like to ask council to have it put on as a rural internet, high speed, because it's a big priority province-wide, especially with the rural caucuses. So if we could have somebody in staff keeping an eye on what's going on and be part of this I think it's important, because there's large portions of our municipality that do not have high speed,
For sure.
or slow high speed.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people, like, high speed, when it come out as high speed, 3 megs was considered high speed. Now they're looking at 25 to 30, 40 megs a second. Like, and I got 170 kilobytes at the best, like per second. So I mean, it's not, mine's like not even close, and a lot of people are like that. So I think we should have that on our priority list if council doesn't see that as a problem. Jumping in at this stage. Comments from the CAO?
I can, well, if you're asking, from my perspective, certainly we had it on our priority list last year, so it's not, it wouldn't be that it came out of nowhere, that's what
Okay.
I'm saying, right?
Because there is a lot of movement on this now.
Yeah, I think in the conversations we had when we were doing the priorities setting, I think we had recognized that it was a provincial, the province was really moving in that direction to make it happen. So I think that's why it probably didn't make the list again, that we felt like, I think, maybe 12 months ago, we thought maybe we had to push, we had to be the lead pushers, but now it looks like the province might be. So it's not like it's,
Yes and no, because there is a
Yeah.
lot of municipal activity involved with this too. There's, I don't remember the names. There's a guy from Queens that's very involved.
right,
I give Scott the names, I believe, of the people that,
okay.
some time ago, the 3 people that are the main players in this. So, I mean, I just like, I guess I'm asking for the odd update every once in a while, what you're hearing and what's going on out there.
Well, we would certainly do that. I mean, that doesn't, it doesn't have to be on this to do that, certainly.
Right.
What we can do for council, because, probably not all the councils are as well versed on the issue as you are, because you had gone to the rural caucus meeting, we can maybe collect some information on where we're at and bring it at the next meeting.
That'd be very good.
And then you can decide whether you want to, engage more heavily in that.
That's the best idea, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so
Okay,
we'll do that.
good,
All right.
we'll move on now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Donaldson. We've done A, B, scholarship disbursement. That's a different one, I guess.
I can
Yes.
speak a little bit, but some of what's on the agenda here, I didn't participate in the bottom part of it.
Yes.
I know
yeah.
we had met, but if you would like me to speak a little bit about
Yes,
that, no
okay.
problem. I'm not butting into what
No,
you
go
say.
ahead.
No, no, it's probably, you're closer to the situation. I think it's better that you,
Right,
thank
okay.
you.
Well, I guess with the scholarship, as we all know, the committee had 2 applications from Drumlin Heights, and the 2 students had nothing PEB. Well, I guess we looked at the two applications and we have $1,000 per scholarship. There's two, one per school. So we said, you know, we've only had two requests. They're all from Drumlin Heights. At least it's in our municipality. It's in the municipality, which is one of the criteria. And so we, at our last meeting, we did, or the meeting prior to that, we did make a motion and voted on that Drumlin, the two students from Drumlin's get the scholarships. And lo and behold, after the meeting, somebody got a win at Paramba that there was no applications, and they contacted Paramba and wondered what had happened, why there wasn't any applications. And come to find out, the I don't know if you call it student counselor, the teacher. What would it be? Guide. Thank you, Nicole. The guidance counselor was off sick with, you know, some bad stuff, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter, she was off sick, she had been off for a little bit. So apparently she hadn't, I guess, pushed maybe the student, maybe that's not the right word, but the students didn't feel they had got knowledge of the applications, although our CDO, Charlene, I may as well say Charlene, I don't know what her title is right offhand, it just, I'm blank here. Anyhow, Charlene did the same thing to Drumlin Heights by putting the applications in, dropping them off, as she did to Paramba. Same things were done. She didn't phone maybe a week or 2 weeks before to either place, which I don't know if Brenda LeGrand would do that when she was in the position, but Charlene did not, and she didn't feel she had to, because if the guidance counselors, she felt, and the committee also felt, were doing their job, the students would know. So when 2 or 3 students found out that the scholarships were there, they didn't know about it, although the applications were there like every year. They might have called the municipal office. I'm not positive, the CAO could maybe correct me on that. They either called the municipal office to find out if they could apply, although the deadline had just passed. And 2 or 3 applications were sent in, and I think only one, as we read on the information we got, one was acceptable application. So the subcommittee, our committee had a meeting about this, and we said where we had made a motion and passed it that the 2 students, although we didn't name the students, had the scholarship. We didn't feel where there was $2,000, $1,000 per scholarship, that it should be, you know, one should be taken off the $1,000 scholarship and give it to PEB where they were behind, past the deadline. Although we realized if the guidance counselor hadn't been sick, maybe it would have been, they would have a chance to apply. So we passed it as since it was moved and motion was made and passed, that we felt they should go to that student where it was a public meeting. Now we've got, you know, these 3 options, which I think are very fair. I believe it's the CAO that brought this. I think that's, what you've got there is, you know, makes a person think back again on what can be done. You know, could be done, stay the same. You know, give PEB an extra $1,000, give the $1,000, $1,000 more than we initially have in our budget for that. Leave it as is, but I guess this is where maybe our CAO could come in. And you know, or somebody else has, you know, certainly would like council to talk about it.
Councillor Albright?
I just wanted to add, I was looking at these 3 options as well, and I don't think we should withdraw the 2 from Drumlin Heights either. I really don't. I think we made a decision, and, you know, it's unfortunate the way that things happen. But I just want to add a little bit to that, because I know personally about the situation at Paramba, because the guidance counselor, I know her very well. So she is typically in charge of graduation of all bursaries and preparing students for university and all of that. And she went out on sick leave, on a medical leave that was quite sudden. It wasn't something that was expected. So what ended up happening, because I also have a child at Paramba who is in grade 12 and looking at scholarships and bursaries, what ended up happening was that was kind of, her job was split in a few different paths. So one teacher was responsible for bursaries as well as the librarian, as well as, you know, and it got kind of, whereas the guidance counselor that they hired is more in charge of counseling. So things really got, it was kind of like, throw it in the air, and things kind of landed where they did. So I don't know, I know it's an extra $1,000, but is that something that we could, is it a possibility to have another? I just would hate to take that opportunity away from Paramba because of the circumstances. I don't think it would be something we would have to do again, because as far as I know, she will be there next year when all of this, you know, goes on again. And I just feel bad for the student who missed out at Paramba. Because, and I really think it's just because of the way that things worked out, right? Because of the sick leave.
Yeah.
And I know they have a new principal as well, which is another thing, right? So right now, even the graduation, I think they're kind of wondering, because she did the graduation, the guidance counselor did. So they're kind of just piecing those parts together, because she's a very, you know, an integral part of that whole
Absolutely.
process, right? So you pull her out and you put somebody else in, and right? So I just hate to take that opportunity away from somebody at Paramba that could
The
have.
EDO, our Economic Development Officer, came back, Charlene, will be calling from now on. You know, it's, she hadn't done it before, she had brought the information there, that's what she had done the previous year, but, you know, she will be, we talked about it, the committee, from now on, she will be doing it.
Yes, Councillor Donaldson.
I'm leaning with Nicole on this, but in the policy for giving out these scholarships, is it $1,000 per school? Is it or is it $2,000 regardless where it goes? If you had two highly qualified in one school or the other school, how's the policy address this? Because if it's $1,000 a school, the committee made a mistake, in my opinion, by giving out $2,000 to one school, regardless of a application or not an application from Paramba.
Yeah, I can address that. The scholarship policy, I'm just opening it up here to be sure that have it in front of me at the same time. The scholarship is, it says under 3.1, awards two $1,000 scholarships, one to a graduate from grade 12 at École Paramba and another from Drumlin Heights Consolidated School. So the reason why really technically all we had to do was issue those scholarships if you follow the policy. However, because we only, correct. However, because Paramba did not submit an application, the idea that the second one could shift over to Drumlin could not be done by policy, could only be done by motion of council. That can override the policy, right? So that was why we brought that the last time. So
And that's why I didn't realize that, so I wasn't here.
right. So it was contrary. So really, that motion is contrary. That initial motion to move 2,000 to Drumlin is contrary to your policy. But because we didn't have the other application, it was a decision that council made, and not a poor one. It was a good decision. What we didn't know was the extraordinary circumstances of Paramba. You know, from my perspective, you know, $1,000 from a budgetary perspective, you can always find $1,000. The budget is not the issue. I think the issue is whether or not you feel like the circumstances were so extraordinary that to provide Paramba an advantage in a sense, extending the deadline. Certainly, Drumlin was not disadvantaged. In fact, they are enriched by the fact that they had two going to Drumlin. So we're not mistreating one. The really important piece was, did we treat them the same, right? And so we feel like we did. However, you can always do more. And so we all recognize that maybe we should have, you know, sent a reminder or something. Even, you know, so those things, you know, they can be missed. So, you know, certainly from our perspective, from a fiscal perspective, there's no reason why we couldn't issue the third one. I think we want to be sure that we don't create an environment where the policy is not respected year to year, right? That
Another issue that may arise, but probably won't. Is there any indication that where we're giving two to Drumlin, one, if the motion goes through, that we give one to per en bar, are they gonna say, well, you give 2,000 to Drumlin, we want two too?
Well-
Two then?
Well,
Yeah,
two also.
two also.
Well, you could make that decision tonight if you wanted, as part of the motion.
There's only been one application,
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
good.
Okay. I thought I heard 3 applications, but
One acceptable.
One
application.
acceptable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Muse?
Well, based on the situation, I would like to make a motion that we add a third scholarship for this year, based on the fact that there was some confusion at the school, and that we give another scholarship of $1,000 to the student in Arundel.
I second that.
This is a one-time thing, right?
A one-time thing, yes.
Yeah, like Nicola said, it should be, clear
Yeah.
that from now on, somebody that's late is late.
Exactly, that's
But
right.
under these circumstances, I think,
But we
yes,
would have to
I
make
agree
sure
with-
that
I agree with that.
Yeah, and that we would have to make sure that they're aware that, Councillor Strait said, that next year, we remind them
Oh, there's no
before the
question.
deadline, you don't have any, if we don't have any applications.
Not a
Yeah.
question.
Yes.
Yeah, we can do that, but we don't have to.
Yeah, but we
It's not
can't,
our job to remind them. They
exactly,
should-
but
But
it's always
we
good
can,
practice.
we certainly, oh, yes,
It's
definitely.
good practice,
Yeah, good practice is right.
for sure.
Any more discussion or questions on that? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Fireworks funding request. This is a letter I got from the Mayor Mood. You all had a chance to read it.
Mhm.
I don't know what you think of it. Yes, Councillor Surratt?
I think that there are fireworks and that, there's a lot of people from Argyle that go there. When our grandkids are around, we go, obviously. But having said that, I don't feel that we should be supporting fireworks in Yarmouth. We've got our own in, I've gone to Morris Island to watch the ones in Argyle, the Boptic Festival.
You are welcome to come the whole way over.
I can't find gas nowhere. And I've seen the ones we've had from St. Andrews when they used to have them, and they have some in Wedgeport. So I think we
And
should,
Pumlico.
And Pumlico.
and Publico right,
Yeah.
excuse, thank you. And I believe that, I know a lot of people from Argyle go, but if they had applied for our grants to organizations or something like that, that would be a different story. But that's my opinion. I don't support that.
Any more comments?
No, I don't support it either. Most of our fireworks are done through our festivals, and we sponsor our festivals
That's right.
financially, and they use it. Some of them, so a percentage of it is used for their fireworks, and our fireworks has fundraisers, and so.
Yeah.
I agree. I've had people in our community say, why don't we have Canada Day fireworks? And I mean, a lot of it is money, right? So if they wanted to organize something, if they thought that they could get money, you know what I mean? If we're gonna give money for fireworks, why wouldn't we give it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
To our own.
That's right.
Yeah.
Got it.
And it would be hard to do
So-
it for our municipality, because if you had them in Pumlico, Wedgeport would be mad, vice versa. Tuscan would go on, Quinnen would go on, whatever, right?
Quinnen had good ones a few years ago.
What's that?
Quinnen had good fireworks a few years
I
ago.
did.
Yeah.
It was neighbored. They were awesome. They were the best
Okay.
fireworks.
We don't need a motion to deny.
Yeah, we would.
We should, yeah.
We would require that.
Yeah.
Just as an aside, before you make the motion, I had sent a suggestion to the CEO for the town that perhaps a fireworks pool could be created by the 3 units, and that all fireworks would be supported if that is in fact if the municipalities were interested in funding fireworks, then that might be a better approach as opposed to looking at one event.
No, they'll back it to that, because we have 4 major ones, and they only have one.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know if that was
And so
something that was
also-
acceptable or not, but I just threw it
No,
out
you're
there.
not talking, you weren't talking for council.
No,
Just-
certainly not. I
no.
just provided a suggestion
That's
that,
right.
that there are multiples.
So
And
can we have a motion to deny that
I'll make
request?
that motion, and I'd like, in the motion, a reason why, like, we fund our own fireworks for displays.
Yeah,
Second that.
okay. You all heard the motion, all those in, I'm reading at the same time, I was gonna say, all those in fireworks. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
They would probably say aye.
Wedgeport
But loud.
Crosswalk.
Sorry, that's a bad joke.
Okay, this is, yes, I guess the crosswalk hasn't been repainted since
No.
they resurfaced the road?
It's repainted now.
Ah,
It's there now,
The crosswalk?
I'm pretty sure. I was in Wedgeport, and I'm pretty sure I've seen that it's painted.
oh, is that right?
I think so.
Rec-
Maybe,
Were we
Recently?
charged for it?
maybe it was before the paving, but I don't think.
Well, I mean, the councillor would know, Councillor Lucien would know best, but my understanding was when they paved it, they never actually did it again. And what we typically do is that this is brought like once a year, once every second year.
Yes.
And we just request TIR to do it, they do it and they bill us. And it's usually, it's not expensive.
No.
Okay.
It's just paint and,
That's right.
Yeah.
so it's.
And the reason why there is that is because you have
The sidewalk
sidewalks on both
crosses,
sides,
yes.
you know,
And-
on
and
two
it-
sides, and
And it
this,
had to do with the school zone
Yeah.
as well, the school,
Right.
right, the school. But have we made has the request been sent to TIR for this year to have it repainted? I don't know why I'm thinking that it's painted. I was in Wedgeport, and it seems to me we drove by and I made a comment that, oh, they painted that, but
Certainly if they
I have-
painted,
I have a short memory.
Well, we can make the motion, and then when you are
oh,
in
yeah,
contact, they'll tell you if it's painted or not.
Yeah.
And they'll say, well,
yeah,
yeah.
if they painted it without our permission, they'll have to pay.
Yeah.
But we'll, yeah, I mean, we'll certainly do that.
Wouldn't that be
Maybe
part of
so.
it, of their contract of paving to replace everything like it was, or, you know what I mean?
I don't know.
You think so?
I know that generally crosswalks are not part of their, it's
No.
not part of what they do,
No.
so that's why.
You don't have too many crosswalks in the municipalities.
They
The
don't
crosswalks
like,
are-
they don't like
They
crosswalks.
don't like
on-
crosswalks on major roads and
You-
whatever, because
Yeah,
people tend to, we used to have one at the church, and people used to think because there's a crosswalk, you don't have to look. Because people would just cross,
Mhm.
and the traffic, I mean,
Look like
So-
in town.
a good
Yeah.
example of that in Dartmouth,
yeah.
they kill somebody every day.
They hit somebody every day, exactly.
Yeah.
So, no, the department.
in towns it's different.
Doesn't like to, they don't approve too many of these, and that one's approved for a special reason because of how the sidewalks are made. That's where you cross from one sidewalk to the other, and there were students that were walking, so
Mhm.
they figured that they should have a crosswalk there.
So do
We-
we want a motion?
We may, as part of this motion, we may be asked also to fund signage
For the crosswalk.
for the crosswalk. And I would recommend that in your motion, if you are supportive, that it wouldn't just be for the crosswalk, but it would also be funding for signage, appropriate signage. I'm not
Yes.
talking about a light, I'm talking about
Just the
signage.
sign. The
That,
signs are there.
yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure the signs are there. That I can, that I can
mention it.
say, they're there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why I think I saw it painted, or I remember making a comment when I drove by,
Mm.
but maybe I was just saying, oh, they have to paint it, I can't remember.
Maybe it's because of the sign.
Maybe because of the sign, I knew there was a crosswalk there.
Okay.
well, I'll
and-
make a motion
Yeah.
that the municipality enter into an agreement to fund the maintenance of the Wedgeport Crosswalk and signage.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carried. Grading and repairing of Oak Park Road. Kathy Quirk, I think, is the one that has
Yeah.
Councillor Book.
I've been approached by various people that do go into, towards the French Lake to go to their camps, go to their woodlots. It's almost impossible to get in. It was even put on Facebook, a video of what the roads look like. The water was quite deep in the potholes. People, I know one guy, he ruined, I think, part of his motor from his boat trying to get in. Somebody else ruined the bottom of their truck. It's quite bad. I've been trying to get a hold of Department of Transportation and no results, so I'm bringing this to council to send a letter to repair the lake that goes, to the road that goes into the lake.
French Lake.
French Lake. And summer's coming, so a lot of young mothers go in there, not just young mothers, a lot of people go in there, go swimming. They go there for picnics. It's used, and I would like that to be fixed.
And you make that a motion?
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second that.
Seconded, Councillor Muse. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Wastewater project, Wedgeport wastewater project, PCAP application. I think this is probably a CAO Muse.
Yes. So, as you know, this project is essentially number one on your list. Staff took the opportunity to apply for PCAP funding. PCAP is a provincial capital assistance program. It is not a very large fund, but every year they look to support 50% of the cost of smaller wastewater projects and engineering and pre-design work that is done on some important projects. So we felt like the Wedgeport project was a perfect fit because we actually know how much we're going to be paying for the consultant to do some of the prep work. Inside this application shows the amount. That's not the total amount we would pay engineers, but it's the amount that we would pay to set the stage for the project. So I didn't realize until the 26th or 25th of May that the applications are to be accompanied by a resolution of council supporting the project. So it's not enough that we submit it. It has to come with a resolution to support the application and that you support the project. Well, certainly you support the project because it's on your capital investment plan, but I think specifically they want council to approve this application. So what we're asking for is professional fees are expected to be $51,600, and we're looking for a provincial cap of $25,811, and that would be matched by federal gas tax. If we do not get the PCAP funding, we still have to plan, so it would be 100% gas tax. So I'm just trying to find other ways to pay.
Yeah.
Correct, and minimize the usage of our gas tax so we can apply it to somebody else,
That's
to
right.
something else.
Yeah.
So I would recommend, obviously, that council approve this application.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
We approve this.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Mr. Chair, before we move on to the next, also, the Wedgeport wastewater project, we're in preliminary planning for BCF applications. So everybody talks about Building Canada Fund, BCF. There are actually two funds. There is the old BCF and the new BCF. I don't know, the conservative BCF is the one that will come out very soon, and the liberal BCF is in about 12 months or more.
And left
So,
over.
so there's still quite a bit of money left over in the conservative Building Canada Fund. They did not spend a lot. Their first round was a fraction of the 10 billion commitment. So apparently there's about 9 billion remaining nationally. The Wedgeport, so what our plan would be to try to get the BCF funding, the conservative BCF funds to pay for the Wedgeport project. So the key around what benefits us around that is that it has to be shovel-ready, which we're now getting there. We will be there by the time the applications start coming out. The other thing is they want to be assured that the money will be spent by March 31st, 2018. 2018. We're going to spend it by March 31st, 2017 if we, or that's maybe aggressive, but it will be surely well before 2018 March when we complete that project. So that puts us in a pretty good position to get the funding for that project. Doesn't assure it, but it puts us in a good position, which in turn opens up other projects for the new BCF. And keep in mind, the new BCF has more than one, it has expanded eligibility. So one of the eligible amounts is recreation infrastructure, which the track and field would qualify. And the other is admin buildings. Now, I don't know about this building, like the new building construction. I'm not sure yet. We're gonna be investigating that. And it might impact timing, right? So we have to investigate that thoroughly. I think that, I'm not sure that the municipal buildings would be high on their list of approvals. So we have to be in strong communication with the funders to determine, you know, which projects actually have a better chance of actually getting funding, and try to apply based on that. So
Is the track and field shovel ready, what you call it already?
no,
No, we're not there yet.
no, and we don't have to be right now. What we'll likely do is take our time to plan it correctly, which we can do in the next 12 months, and then have it ready so we know what we're going to do. Anyway, so that's, you know, the chances of a COA actually funding the track and field are quite low right now, unless we host a national event. And so we're still investigating that also. Anyway, that's a little off topic, but
Yeah.
just want to let you know that the applications for funds, like the next round of BCF is actually old money. So you'll hear me talk about this, and you'll also, you know, hear me push for the Wedgeport project under the old money, because the eligibility is much smaller in the conservative BCF.
Yeah,
Okay?
that would be probably a good project, yeah. Okay, thank you. Good information. Next item is fire department air pack purchase. I think this is something that we do every year, basically.
Yes.
Price has gone up.
Yes, I think typically, because of our procurement policy, I felt more
Yeah.
comfortable getting approval from council. This has been one of these things we do every year, and the price has increased to a point where we should be getting approval from council. We don't go out to tender because there's only one company that
Yeah,
does it.
$3,000 a piece in 1981. So we bought two, and, look, I mean, that's 81.
so we'll have, okay. What's suggesting here is one for Islands and District and East Pubnico.
Yes, and
This year.
what the fire department's doing, you may or may not be familiar with this, because
Yeah.
we haven't always brought this to you because it was below the threshold. So what they do is they take their turns. They rotate. There's one purchase, two purchase per year for two separate
Yeah,
fire departments.
good.
I'd like to move that the municipality purchase 2 air packs from Micmac Fire and Safety Source Limited for the Island and District and East Public Volunteer Fire Department.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried. Next item, then we go on to correspondence and for information, Municipality of East Hants response to Bill 177, amendments to the MGA. Minister of Infrastructure and Communities Infrastructure Investments, a drone purchase and usage. Did you want to speak on that?
Yes, I
Want
can.
some clarification?
Sure.
I think this is why it's here on the agenda.
So didn't see anything attached with it.
No, no.
No,
Go ahead.
so essentially, yeah, I think the information had been distributed by email, but you're right,
Yes.
there's no attachment there for the meeting. Essentially, the drone, we required so much training in order to use the drone. The reason why we purchased a drone rather than rent a drone is that the cost to rent a drone our intention was to go to our trails and to all of our tourist sites and take pictures of them. To rent would have been far more expensive than actually purchasing the drone and doing it ourselves. Now, the drone does come with some insurance costs that still, even with the insurance costs, paying it ourselves is still cheaper than actually renting the drone and doing it and having somebody else do it. The other benefit, of course, is that we are training 2 people internally to use the drone. Therefore, you know, there may be an opportunity, depending on insurance and regulations, for us to provide that service to other municipal units locally, if they wished to obtain that footage, they would have to pay us for that because it's a cost to us to do. So rather than buy it, rather than buy it regionally, we decided, let's buy it locally, and then, because we know we're gonna use it, and then let's farm it out to other units if they're interested, and if they're not, we have a variety of uses for it, including, like there's safety, ground search and rescue benefits of having a drone, and
maybe ASTA would want to use it.
yeah, but I mean, even.
Through them probably.
Yeah, they might, I mean, clearly they'll be, I mean, the footage is spectacular.
Yeah.
They did a test run on Rocco Point, and the footage is just, I haven't seen the footage, but from everyone that has seen it has said that the footage is absolutely spectacular.
Yeah.
Mirror images on the water, active living, trail advertisement, and other ideas, including fun runs, active living, other things that the drone can be used for. Certainly, I think we're just gonna see that there are tremendous benefits.
I read the email, and we're talking roughly $2,000.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the big deal? What's the issue? That's not even as much as a good laptop.
No,
And they're all over the place. I mean, it's,
I think, my interpretation, that's a great question. My interpretation of that is I think people feel, that it could be a privacy invasion. I think some people might be concerned about that. That it's, you could fly it anywhere and see anything. I mean, we're certainly not gonna do that, but, that might be a concern.
well, I understand Alex being one of the ones that's being trained, right, Alex Bianca?
And Scott,
And
yes.
Scott, I mean, Alex the mapper, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, he can use that for a lot of applications in these mapping work, so.
I don't think it's been
Yeah,
an
so
issue, I don't,
Yeah,
No, I mean, we're using it for municipal purposes. I think, and then the other thing is people may not know, like, the drones come in different prices. Like, we have a $2,000 drone, like, you can buy a drone for much more than that, right?
Yeah.
So ours is really, it's almost recreational in its use in terms of, like, the cost. I think it's a little bit, bigger than what you would normally get, but certainly the investment
Yeah.
is gonna turn itself around
Good.
pretty fast.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
who decided to go ahead and purchase that?
Oh, that was my decision.
That was your decision?
I approved the purchase order,
Good,
yeah.
good, no. That's, I had just one person that asked at my place of visit, that asked me if I could find out, what did we purchase one for? And I said, yeah. I said, nothing's hidden, everything's transparent, so I said, I'll bring it up if we could have some, the reason and what the
Yeah.
cost was and that, and,
Yeah.
hey, it's a good question. We're transparent.
So from our perspective, just from a budgetary perspective, this purchase did not cause a budget item to be overrun, and was within the amount that I could authorize. It came at the recommendation of staff, and I signed it.
Yeah.
I signed it immediately.
good, excellent, thank you.
Yep.
Answer that.
We go on to the next item here is a UNSM letter regarding Bill 177, amendment to the MGA. Resolution request from MP Colin Fraser. That's something we could address, or?
We don't do those, remember at the council meeting, probably
Yeah,
6, 7 years ago, we don't do that anymore, yeah.
okay.
Unless council wants to change it.
We don't have that as a policy, right?
No,
Just
it would only be, I think there might have been a motion on that. It's certainly our practice not to.
Our practice, yes.
But there may
okay.
have been a motion, I can't recall if it was done by
Okay.
motion or not.
Yeah.
But certainly our practice is to not.
Uh,
the least political we can become involved with this type of thing, I think is the best. Let's just move on.
Thank you. Yarmouth County Sport Council, track and field letter of support. Yeah, they're very supportive.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was great, you see.
2016 Community Litter Cleanup Report, strategic. Yes, Councillor.
Can I talk about the community litter program? I do believe it's a good program. but I've had various discussions with people from in the Pummico area, not just my district, from other districts. And it does state in this report here that the people that do clean the ditches are getting older and are less interested in cleaning because it's hard on their backs and so on. I don't know if we have another solution for our cleanups. I know one agreed with me that maybe during cleanup time that we could give out garbage bags to each household. And even if people would clean in front of their yards and their ditches, it's like my district, we have big ditches, so a lot of garbage gets caught up in there. I don't know if that would be something we could look at. I don't know, I'm just trying to find a solution to keep on cleaning up our area. I know our neighboring municipality in the Barrington area, they hire people it's like a job, to clean up their ditches in their communities. So I don't know, if just looking around to see what kind of a solution we can do. I know it's ongoing, you can clean up today and tomorrow it's gonna be piled up again. People are careless. I don't know how to say it, but.
Yeah,
You don't have to be politically correct, you can say,
yeah,
How do you put an electric fireplace in a garbage bag?
it's discouraging, it's discouraging after you see where they've cleaned up and you drive by and you see these brand new pretty blue and green Tim Horton cups. I mean, they do look better than the plain brown ones, but
I know
they shouldn't be in the ditch.
I know a couple of years ago, we were cleaning up an area in my district and we were in the ditches and we were hauling out and they had just cut out some brushes that year and there was sticks that were in the ditches, and I know there's 2 people in our group that got hit in the eye with a stick. Both of them had to go to the hospital and get their eye cleaned out with antibiotics.
yeah, I
and
had to be
everything.
careful.
So
I joined the group.
Pardon me?
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. And I know in my district, the ditches are really deep. I don't know about the other districts, but sometimes you can't even, when the car goes by, they don't even see you in the ditch. So it's very dangerous.
Yeah, I joined a group this year and went help them, and I know in one ditch where it's quite deep, you had to be very careful that you
Yeah.
don't get one of those sticks jabbing you or.
Oh, yeah. So I don't know, maybe we should be looking
Well,
at some kind of a solution.
something to look at.
Something to think about for next year.
Even maybe buying some of those 3-prong things that pick her uppers like they
Oh,
use.
we have some,
We have
but
some.
they
Oh,
don't
yeah.
work
Yeah.
very well.
No.
No,
Was that right?
can't pick up everything.
They only pick up little pieces of paper, and when
That's
you
it.
when you find in the ditches, I mean, we find microwaves. It's things that were put up for the big garbage, spring cleanup or the fall cleanup, and that it gets to stay there, and it embeds in the ditches. And boy, when you have to haul that out, it's something.
Well, there's one road, and I've had a complaint on it. It's been cleaned last year, and they found, I don't know how many bags of pet litter.
Yeah,
I mean, bags and bags and bags, and then you pick it up and you know what happens because the bags have been there for so long. And they break, and apparently 2 years in a row, and somebody told me that they went by again to look at that road, and they can see the bags. It's somebody on that road or somebody that travels that road that goes by, and that's where they get rid of their cat litter. I found, I
The old dump?
I found a bag
the
with,
old dump,
huh?
right back.
No, the Frank
Yeah,
House Road.
anyway, yeah.
I did some of the cleaning this year, and it's amazing the stuff that you
Oh,
come
yeah.
across. I picked up a bag and there was human
Yeah,
Oh, my God.
in there,
Human
I mean,
feces.
just as soon as you lifted it.
yeah, I know. Well, it's something we can look at and talk about, you know.
So if
That
becomes
if
an
a
issue.
review of the program is something that council would like, what staff would appreciate is a motion to that effect.
Yes,
And, sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
okay, continue.
No, and what we would do as a consequence of that, we would do an environmental scan of what other regions are doing and you know, whether we can do something uniquely Argyle around this. So we will do that as a consequence of the motion.
But it's too bad because it's a good program, it
Mhm.
helps some of the
Yes.
organizations,
Yes.
and it does clean, you know, I
Yes.
mean, if you didn't, you'd.
For a
have-
day.
Can't imagine, pardon me?
That's the worst.
Well, for a day, but can you imagine it
Oh, yeah, I
would
know,
keep
I
piling
know.
up and piling up if you didn't, you know?
Good point.
Yeah. I mean, the department used to hire crews in the summertime, in the spring. That was a ditch cleaning crew. They
Yeah,
would go and they would,
I know.
but then they gave that up.
Okay, do we have a
So,
motion?
I'll
to-
make the motion that we revise the,
Review.
Revise or
Review
look,
or
review, yes.
review, yes,
Good.
sorry.
Second.
Oh, nobody seconded, okay.
Moved and seconded.
Uh-huh.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Mr. Chair, just on that, has it been a problem this year, Mr. CEO? Did John mention anything, or did John, his department? So have they found problems finding, or were they able to get every kilometer that was sponsored? Were they able to get everything,
I
or
think
you're
there's,
not sure?
I think there's 3 that haven't done it yet, from what I.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah, it's,
very good,
I think the issue is, you know, the issue is the difficulty,
to get,
where we're headed, more so where we are,
Yes.
in terms of the volunteer base that's doing this work, yeah.
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Strategic, oh. Did we vote on that motion?
Yeah,
No? We
No.
didn't vote.
No.
No, we
All
didn't
those
vote.
in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. I think You probably did, but make sure we'll do it twice.
We have it on tape.
The strategic plan update. Next item, the Yarmouth International Airport Corporation, minutes of November the 20th, February the 26th, and March the 4th, and April the 6th. Of course, the minutes of November of last year, 2015. And next item, Fisheries Association of Nova Scotia Information Session. Yeah, I had added on, I think there is a little attachment to that. This was brought to my attention by the president of Inshore Fisheries, and he wondering if they could publicize it a bit and to get as many people as they can. They're gonna have people from different associations or different agencies talking about this, safety in the fishing industry. Any questions on any of those, or any more comments, or?
If I could just
Yes, go ahead.
spend a short amount of time on the strategic plan update, just on the first page
Oh,
of the attachment.
yes.
The rest shows in grand detail and with some explanations as to where the objectives are on the strategic plan. But I just want to spend a little time on the first page. So I'll just make it smaller on my screen here. So.
Not completed.
So the goals are in blue on the top, and the greens are completed, the orange is ongoing, and the white is not to be begun. So we're really, I mean, I think technically we're not in the final year of the strategic plan, but I think I dare say that we ought to think it is in the last year, because we're gonna have a new council come in, and more than likely this process will recommence. We'll be looking at other goals and objectives. Our vision may not change, our mission may not change, but how we get there, we certainly should be looking at revising our goals and objectives for the next 4 or 5 years. So I guess, we're measuring this ourselves, so, take that with a grain of salt. But the green indicates the successes, and, I admit, not all of the objectives were met on the dates that we expected them to be met, but that we continued to work on them and got them completed. So the two that haven't begun is the modernizing a feedback system for our residents to give us appropriate feedback. We were looking at a software solution, It's all of it is very expensive. So we're looking, we didn't go back to that. Like, so when we looked at it, that's what we determined, that it was just too costly for the amount of complaints we were receiving. It didn't merit the cost. So we'll do, we have an internal system for sure, but we are going to reconsider how that might be done in the future. The objective 1.3, developing a marketing promotion piece to promote the Tuscan Business Park. We have not done a direct promotional piece on the park itself. We have done promotional pieces for our community and the region, but not directly for the business park itself. We have seen success there despite that, but at the same time, we haven't developed that. So, however, we have done more global promotion on the merits of living and working here. And in terms of ongoing, you see them listed there: aerospace, airport corporation, passenger cargo. That's all ongoing. There's also in continuing the efforts to persuade the province to address safety issues at exits 31 and 32. That's still on our list.
Where is it at?
I don't know that we received any correspondence on that recently. I know that MLA D'Entremont has also identified those as issues provincially. I don't know where we are.
It's not on the 5-year plan.
No.
It's not one,
On the 5-year plan.
no.
No, so that would have to change.
Yes.
So, I know there have been conversations, but conversations and plans are two different things around that. And initiate an internal review of services with our municipal neighbors. What that objective was intended to do is to look inside and also to look across. So that work certainly isn't complete. It is ongoing and continues and shall be ongoing for a while. That's a constant look at how we deliver services and whether we can deliver them better, and to, get out of things that we need to get out of regionally and get into things regionally that we need to get into in a way that makes sense. That's an ongoing situation. So that's the report. And if there are any questions around this, and I'm free to answer them.
It's a good report. I like all the green.
Green is good.
Yeah, a lot of stuff done. And other things that,
Green is cool.
yeah. Okay, thank you for that. Next item is financial request. We have one district community grant, St. Joseph's Parish. I think that's for Councillor
Yes, I'd like
Surratt.
to move that we give a $500 district community grant to the St. Joseph's Parish Sheds on it. And that's for repairs, ongoing repairs that they've got, that has to be done. Some stuff is rotting and
Yeah.
we want to replace a few things.
Does that meet the policy?
It does to mine.
Yes.
We're CA Ocean.
Oh, I thought I had one knocked down because I tried to do one for a church.
Not district community.
Not district.
No, not
Okay.
district. Regular, but not
Yeah.
district.
Yeah.
Grants for doors.
Oh, okay, yeah, I thought the same thing, like, that maybe but for district, churches can.
Yes. Churches are prohibited from the grants to organizations regular process, but not the district community grant.
Okay,
Been
Yeah,
doing,
we had some for St. Peter's last
For 8
year.
years, I've been doing it for 8 years.
I think last
Bears
year.
Hill and-
Yeah. okay,
Yeah. Okay, we have a mover,
I'll second that.
seconder. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
And I have a question to do with district community grants, if I may, while we're on the
Yes,
subject.
go ahead, Councillor Dolan.
In the policy, I was of the understanding, and I think I'm wrong on this, that if an organization receives a grant to organizations, can they still have a community district grant?
Yes.
Okay,
So if they apply for, they can have both. However, as you know, there's a spring and fall grant to organizations now.
yeah,
And if they are refused on the spring, they will be refused for fall. That they don't get two, they don't get two kicks at the can, essentially. They don't get two cracks.
Yeah,
They
you're
get
talking grants to organizations.
grants to
yeah.
organizations. So that's how so they certainly can't participate in both. If they're rejected in one, they automatically would be rejected for the second one. But the community grant is independent of all of that,
Yeah.
and they would qualify for that even if they received money, or even if they were rejected.
Yeah.
So they could be rejected in the grants process and still get a district community grant.
Up to $500.
Correct. Yeah.
Right, okay. Next item. Notice of motion. Does anybody have a notice of motion for a future meeting?
Have we already, I don't recall, did we ever, I think we just talked about it, about our garbage pickups, our process. Did we do a notice of motion for a future meeting?
I don't believe we did during the budget meeting. We mentioned it, but I don't think there was ever a notice of motion.
No,
So, I'd like to make a motion for a future meeting that we do talk about our garbage, collection. Maybe, find how much it would cost to, pick up maybe more often in the summer, especially the green bin. The fall and spring pickup, I know our neighbors, I'm always, referring to our neighbor municipality because they're allowed to put anything on the side of the road where we are forbidden of, a lot of things. Maybe that's why we have more garbage in our ditches, I'm not sure. So, just wanna bring that up.
There's one thing when talking about that, that I mentioned the other day about picking up, bigger things during the year, like, but I know, I thought of that after, it works, I think it works better where they pick up garbage one week and recyclables the other.
Mhm.
Otherwise, they'd have to have 2 or 3 trailers,
yes,
you know,
yes, I agree.
but anyway,
I agree with that.
Well, what I'm hearing, is we're getting into the business of doing an environmental scan of all garbage, really. Because, we were talking about litter cleanup, that's a portion of what we do.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at this, so it sounds to me like it's a comprehensive, review that you're looking for, which is good.
Well, yeah, everybody's complaining about garbage everywhere, so,
yeah, right.
so let's do something about it.
Will do.
That is one of our biggest, one of the biggest budget items we have, third on the list, third or fourth on the list.
I think it's third.
Education is there, and the RCMP,
Education, RCMP, garbage, I think that's
yeah,
the
would
order,
be
yeah.
third, yeah.
The first two, we don't have no control or say.
Oh, yeah.
So it would be the first one on that we actually have control of spending.
That's correct. It's the largest, correct.
Yeah.
You're restricted by a contract, a pickup contract, but you also have the influence as to how that contract gets, what you request,
But
right?
the
So that's
RCMP and school board, they just take it like our.
You get a bill,
Yeah, we get a bill
yeah, and
and have no say.
have no say in the operations of the school board or really the RCMP for that matter, nor would you have a say in how
Health.
many officers. You would have to approve an additional officer, but you would also have to do that with the municipality of Yarmouth. You couldn't do that on your own. And you probably don't have the power to reduce that number at this time.
No,
Because while it's a shared detachment, the numbers would suggest that the officer cost or the officers per population, you're on the more efficient side if you look at the
Yeah.
province. And that's partially due to sharing with Yarmouth. But, the RCMP would tell you that you can't go backwards. If anything, you gotta go more,
yeah.
right? So that's true. Yeah.
On, Mr. Chair, if you wouldn't mind, on what Councillor Bork said about garbage, you know what, that's, over the last 8 years, multiple questions was why are we not charging, why isn't each household, let's say, charged $30? And I'm just gonna throw a number, $50. And they said, why should, because I have maybe a nicer house, I still have the same garbage as the next person, and that's one thing that I admit that I've been asked a lot. And so why does the person that maybe doesn't have as nice a house, it's on assessment. Based on assessment, why don't we charge every household, let's say $50 a piece or $30 a piece? So that would be more, that would be fairer, you know how you say it?
Well-
More fair, or, but would that increase, I told them, that may increase, instead of paying the $30 a year, you may be paying $100 a year. Would I be right in what I stated to them?
I've had the question
Have
asked
you?
before, to somebody, how come we hardly have any garbage, and a family down the road that has 3 or 4 kids has 4 times the garbage, but they pay a lot less than we do because they have a cheaper home or whatever?
Yes.
Well, I said, you know, this is what way taxation works. You know,
Like
and I
education.
told this guy, I said,
Education.
you have 2 kids in school now. Do you realize how many seniors and other people are paying for your education for your kids, you know? So
Kind, yeah.
it's the same thing,
It's the same idea.
you know? Some people were helping to pay for his kids going to school.
Yeah.
So,
Now the shift goes over.
Well, you know, from a numbers perspective, which I love, of course, you know, it's what we're basically doing is, first of all, there is no perfect system of taxation, and we know the limitations of property taxation. However, the property taxation is based on the premise that if you can afford to build and live in a $300,000 home, you should pay more for the socialist services that we provide as a municipality comparatively to somebody who has purchased and lives in a $50,000 home. And so,
I want to answer these questions there. I'll tell them how I answer that question. I've had it posed to me over the years several times. I just say, what about the guy from Ontario that has a $500,000 property that pays full property taxes, that is here for 3 months of the year, and gets very little in the way of municipal services, maybe police protection for a month or 2 weeks, but they don't have kids in the school. They generate very little garbage while they're here, and they still pay a big property tax bill, right?
yeah. And a lot of people that say the argument, you know, we're paying more because we have more of an assessment. The request to do it on a per household basis would shift the burden from those that are living in those homes that are larger and nicer. It would shift the fiscal burden from them to those homes that are 50,000 or more, or less, I mean. So the burden, because everybody would be paying equally, obviously the person with the lower assessment would pay more.
Yes.
And from our perspective, those that are in the lower assessment might actually be some of our residents that are participating in low income exemptions for taxes, and those, you know, those are the residents we're trying to protect from increased taxes, and shifting the burden in doing it on a per household as opposed to assessment would in fact put more pressure on those smaller homes to pay more. I mean, ultimately, there is a bill. This is the bill, right? How it gets paid is, you know, is the question, right? So I can understand the debate. I've had that debate, and you can land on both sides of that, for sure.
but I think you made a good statement. It's taxation, there's no perfect system.
No, unfortunately.
And another thing is, all businesses are paying business tax, right? That goes into the general pool of the revenue we collect, right? So part of that is going towards residential garbage pickup.
Yes.
Yes.
And we have to pay
And
our own.
and businesses have to pay for their own pickup privately, out of their own business
Very
profit.
great point, great.
Yeah. Well, there's no
There's no.
good answer, but, you know,
No, interesting. Good.
okay.
Thank you for discussion.
Notice of motion, we have one. Question period, any questions from the public?
One question, if I may.
Yes.
Your district community grant that is up to $500. Is the criteria for that online? Where would you, it's online. Thank you.
Yes, it's included in the grants to organizations policy that is online. There is a section for that, specifically in that policy, that is currently being revised, but not considerably to what you will find there. Yeah.
That's, yeah. And the criteria is, it has to be a not-for-profit organization, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we're number 11.
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Junior.
Okay.